did you say about the gearbox? What's your thoughts?
It's quite a short throw and you really have to slot it in so it feels nice.
It feels a lot quicker than it's going.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. Don't you think so? Because you're so low to the ground and the ride is bumpy.
Yeah, you do feel every undulation in the road, that's for sure.
Today we're taking a look at the Mazda MX5. A very interesting, tiny sports car, if you will. One of the first things you notice is the size of this bonnet. It is absolutely about 60% of the entire length of the car, which I shall demonstrate. So, this is the end of the car, the boot, and yeah, it's literally a little bit longer than half of the car. That's quite fascinating. Now if we get in, these doors, it's a two-seater, they're rather large. They're quite large in comparison to your typical car door. Even though it looks small, I mean it's kind of long, and it opens out really wide, so getting into it is not easy with the roof on. Right now this would not be possible with the roof on because the roof is roughly so high, but once you're in the vehicle you can see the position in which I sit in. I'm nearly at the floor, at the ground. Knees are barely bent at all, so that's why people call this a go-kart, and I guess a lot of sports cars are like this, but the seating position is definitely much more interesting than your typical sedan or your typical sports car. Even some supercars are probably higher than this. The cool thing is I can literally touch the rear wheel while sitting here, and that gives you an idea of how small the wheelbase of this car is. It's literally the door plus a little bit more. Yeah, now I want to show you some things in the interior, so let's take a closer look. Steering wheel is a sports focused steering wheel. It's quite small, it's nice. I have not yet driven the car, so no comments on that. Gear shift positioning, this is quite optimal because your elbow is at a natural angle and you can kind of rest it on the console here and change gear. That's a really notchy shift. Wow, it's quite nice. I really like that. Reverse, down and left. Really solid shifter. There's not much play. It's got a lot of weight to it. Now this is the other end of the car. The car is also quite narrow. which is quite an experience. If you see these on the road and you kind of have an idea of how tiny, small and low it is, but when you sit in it, the interior space is really quite small. You get the feeling that the car is bigger and longer than it is because of that look out front through the windshield. The bonnet, the curvature makes it seem wider and larger than it is. You can't quite estimate the edges up front, so you feel like being a little bit more cautious, and in general you treat this whole thing as a larger car than it is. Handbrake positioning is quite hilarious. This really sticks out in the middle of nowhere. The controls, they're quite driver focused, even though they're not angled because the car is tiny. You can reach everything within arm's distance. I'm seated quite high. This is going to be really difficult if someone was tall. I don't know how they'd fit in this car. I guess you'd have to go all the way back and literally sit down all the way low. So we're about to start this car, and the first thing you notice, the clutch is quite springy and heavy. I like that. And one thing you'll notice is when you start the car, it gives you a little rev. If you take a look at the rev counter, I'm about to start it. There we go. Yeah, slight rev up to 2000 RPM. Okay, the clutch is good. No acceleration thus far. Now, yeah. Really easy clutch. Shift is a really short throw. I like this. Steering wheel is super light at low speeds. Not sure if I'm that much of a fan of this. Come to a quick stop. Easy to start. Really easy. Let's go right here. foot to the floor. It revs slower than I expected it to in second gear. Let's do another quick blast through this here. Quite nice. Go left here. Ooh. First gear is nice. Gotta say, first gear works a lot better to rev this thing. The notchy shift is the highlight on this vehicle. It's not the power, but it's the ability to go through a lot of gears without catching a lot of speed. Nice. Yeah, once you get it into the 3000 RPM range, it likes to rev. So I think the key is to keep it in the higher rev range. Clean. Shifts are really clean. Rev matches are cleaner. I don't know if you can hear that, but that was nice. Nice. Fourth gear. Third gear. Second gear. That's nice. Third. Fourth. Third again. Second. Oh, that's nice. This is like the car where you really spend time on improving your driving skills, and you get to practice all the fun stuff without any of the risks, really. So it's quite cold here. I'm gonna put the roof back on. See how easy this procedure is. There's a latch inside. There we go. Let's get into second. That was a beautiful shift. Second is the gear to be in. Oof. The limit's 50 here, so second has some punch to it. Third does not. We're just staying at 50, blind turns. Such beautiful roads though. And this car, it turns amazingly well. loud and bouncy when the roof is down. You don't really want to be doing 120 with the roof down. Okay, so now for some closing thoughts on the driving experience. We're chilling in 6th gear at 70 kilometers an hour. You can barely hear the engine. There's a lot of road noise. This is, after all, a convertible. It's a fun car to drive. It's not really that quick. I know you can't really expect it to be that quick with a 4-cylinder, putting out somewhere between 130 and 180 horsepower. But the car weighs only about 1,000 kilograms, and it's really agile. It begins to get peppy after about 3,000 RPM. That's when really the throttle response becomes really reactive. You can play with it a lot through downshifts, and rev matching works really well. But from 0 to 3,000, I'd say there's a bit of, it's not lag, but the car is a little lethargic to rev. After 3,000, there you go. It's quite good. 4,000 is a great range if you want to get into the left lane, for example, and catch up to the cars ahead of you. That's great in 3rd gear. I think 3rd gear is one of the best gears in this car. 2nd is good for up to about 50 kilometers an hour, but 3rd, you really want to be in 3rd and 4th between 50 and 100, 120 kilometers an hour. There you can get some good acceleration and you get some good throttle response, which makes the whole thing more lively and makes the car actually do some work. In terms of the handling, fantastic. It doesn't get much better than this. Absolutely no qualms there. The steering begins to get heavy once you cross 70 kilometers an hour. It is still ever so sensitive, and that's great, but the weight has improved. But I'd like that also at lower speeds, like 10, 20, 30 kilometers an hour. On highway, if you're sitting in 4th or 5th gear, it's really loud. It's that 4-cylinder drone, so it's not particularly great. But once you get into 5th and then into 6th, yeah, now it's cruising. It's a soft top. There's a ton of wind noise. That's not something you can escape in this car. It's not terrible at high speeds, but everything is loud, and that, I guess, adds to the effect of it feeling not so sure-footed. But it definitely can comfortably do 180, 200. 130 cruising RPM is 3,250. That's quite decent. But yeah, is this a highway car? No. But is it a fun, small car for sort of a weekend drive on back roads, on roads up to 100 kilometers an hour that are bumpy and curvy? Absolutely. Really nice experience. You should try it out. It makes you want to rev match and makes you a better driver. See? Let's see. 170 and we've run out of space. Sad. But definitely 200 is comfortably doable. The most interesting thing is finding out how to open this trunk. It's pretty simple once you know it, but if you go around looking for the button here, maybe the symbol, that's not happening. MX5, not happening. And then you think it's somewhere in the middle here, also nothing. But where's the release? It's right here, all the way down. Quite a satisfying, loud sound, and it's literally like just a piece of steel. There's no sound deadening, nothing here, no soft touch materials. It's pretty much a trunk, and it sounds like a trunk. Very utilitarian, but I like it. Yeah, and that's been the MX5. Let me know what else you want to see, and thanks for watching.